Our culture is competitive, man.
Right.
It is, but I think when it goes past the music itself to blocking things in business, then I don't understand that. Like right now, he's not even competing for a slot. You don't have a new song out that he want to be on the top 10 or top 5, and you still competing. It still makes sense.
First of all, that vote is fake. That's not a real vote. That's not a real vote. They give it to who they want to give it to. They give it to their darlings.
Cowboy Carter, Beyonce.
It's the price you pay, when you're early in your career, you feel that you have to listen. And when you buck, they buck harder and they make threats. And those threats are huge ones.
Look, Jay-Z and them was putting it together. So I think they still harbor some energy towards me.
You think you were purposely left out of the ad?
No. I don't think. I think that they were saying the NFL had some issues with me that I don't know what those issues are.
You have a few Grammys, but you feel like you had to sell your soul to get them. And you didn't know if you wanted it for the recognition or the trophies, but then what's the difference? And that Grammys pretty much suck the blood of artists and nominate them, have them come to the shows. And
which they do. They do it every...
50 Cent and Eminem are finally linking up, and they're not holding back. The two rap legends are calling out Jay-Z and Beyoncé for what they say are some seriously shady moves, from jacking styles and songs from other black artists to allegedly buying awards and crushing anyone who dares to step in their way. According to 50, Jay is still trying to mess with his money behind the scenes, and M, he's been sounding the alarm for years, dropping bars packed with warnings about how the industry is run by powerful, untouchable people pulling strings from the shadows. Now their beef with Jay-Z is getting real ugly, and M's lyrics are starting to sound less like rhymes and more like warnings. Beyonce's name is getting dragged too. She's being accused of swiping songwriting credits from other artists and supposedly blocking talented women like Aaliyah, Mary J. Blige, Mia, and Keri Hilson from rising up. People are asking how many artists got pushed aside just so she could stay on top. But that's not even the half of it. Jay-Z and Beyonce's tight connection to Diddy is back under the microscope. Even though Jay managed to avoid that Jane Doe lawsuit, there's now chatter that the alleged victim backed off only after some very shady folks came knocking at her door. She's hinting that pressure was put on her to stay quiet, and people are wondering what really went down. With all these stories coming to light, folks are starting to ask if the Carters are really as clean as they look, or if they've just gotten real good at hiding the mess. Could 50 Cent and Eminem be sitting on the truth about what's really been going on behind the scenes, and just how many careers or even lives have been ruined in the name of keeping that power? When
you're not competing for those things anymore, and you start looking and you're going, so what was the problem? You can't exactly remember what the problem was. That's what went through with Joe.
For the longest time, Jay-Z and Beyoncé were treated like untouchable royalty in the music world. Criticize them and you'd be labeled a bitter hater instantly. But now, that perfect image is crumbling fast, and leading the charge and tearing down the curtain are none other than 50 Cent and Eminem. Let's kick it off with 50 Cent, because he's coming straight for Jay-Z's neck again. He's calling Jay insecure, jealous, and petty, and this time, he's got receipts. Back in 2023, 50 claimed Jay-Z tried to block him from performing at the Super Bowl using his ties with the NFL. But that move totally backfired because Eminem shut it down quick and said he wouldn't perform unless 50 was part of the lineup too.
Look, Jay-Z and them was putting it together. So I think they still harbor some energy towards me.
You think you were purposely left out of the ad?
No. I don't think. I think that they were saying the NFL had some issues with me that I don't know what those issues are. Like, what is the issue? You start looking at that's not mine. That's theirs. They're harboring, right? But when you look at M is looking at the entire legacy.
Yeah.
The whole thing, like with M, Dre, and myself. Like I'm a shady actor, man. You see what I'm saying? Like, it do so much G-Unit Records.
Right.
They forget that I'm M and Dre's artist.
Fast forward to a recent interview on Talk with Flea with Cameron. 50 lit Jay up again. He didn't just call him out for shady music industry moves, but said Jay's been playing dirty in the business world too. And here's the wild part. 50 pointed out that Jay has already done it all. He's proven himself. Yet he's still allegedly out here trying to mess with 50's deals just out of straight up spite. But that's not all.
This is why I was saying I knew what my boy was doing with the Super Bowl. Because he was doing like, doing some wild things. He was saying that to Eminem that the NFL had the issue with me. And I'm like, well, what's the issue? Why don't I have an issue when I'm becoming a partner in the actual team? But they had an issue with my performance. Like, makes no sense.
So I was going to get to that later, but since we're here now. And when he says old boy for the audience, I'm talking about Jay-Z. This was discussed before. Jay-Z told Dr. Dre, just for people who's not up on this, or Eminem, that he didn't want you to perform part of that Super Bowl they had a couple years ago. Why do you think that is?
Well, I just
threatened, possibly?
Not even threatened. I think it's just, when you take the competition from, like, our culture is competitive, man. It is, but I think when it goes past the music itself to blocking things in business, then I don't understand that. Like right now, he's not even competing for a slot.
They're also teaming up to pull the curtain back on what they say is the Carter's Grammy game. 50 straight up accused Jay of using his marriage to Beyonce to influence Grammy wins. And Eminem, he's been saying for years that the Grammys are rigged and only care about who's paying and who's playing nice. This year, Beyonce finally took home Album of the Year for Cowboy Carter, but not everybody's buying it. Rumors are flying that Jay pulled major strings behind the scenes to lock that win. And let's not forget, last year, Jay-Z stormed the Grammy stage and blasted the Recording Academy for always snubbing Beyonce. But the crowd wasn't fully with him. Fans thought the whole speech felt fake.
Andre Young, thank you, sir. All the doors that you opened, showed us that we can be rock stars, seeing you on the Rolling Stone. Obviously, there's Run DMC with the Leathers and the Aerosmith. But when you came out west, you took it to a whole new level. Some of you don't belong in the category. Oh, no, that was it. No, when I get nervous, I tell the truth.
Like, how you gonna stand there trashing the Grammys while accepting their award? If he really believed they were biased and didn't matter, why keep chasing their approval instead of just walking away? Something's not adding up. This whole situation just keeps getting weirder, and it's got people whispering louder than ever that the Carters might have climbed to the top by buying favors and flexing behind closed doors. For years, folks in the industry have been saying the Grammys ain't really about talent. They're all about politics and who's playing the game right. And one of the boldest voices speaking up, Eminem.
You have a few Grammys, but you feel like you had to sell your soul to get them. And you didn't know if you wanted it for the recognition or the trophies, but then what's the difference? And that Grammys pretty much suck the blood of artists and nominate them, have them come to the shows. And
which they do. They do it every year, yeah. And I'm just tired of seeing it. And for whatever reason, it's like they're always pitching this hint that you might win Album of the Year, which used to be a big deal. I don't think it's a big deal now.
M's been saying the Grammys are straight up fake. He even vowed never to show up again. And it's not just because he lost. He's said loud and clear that he can take an L if someone else really drops a better album. But what grinds his gears is how the Grammys use him for promo, like hyping him up as a frontrunner just to pull the rug out at the last minute and boost their views.
I watched 50, same. 50 did not win Best New Artist at the Grammys.
There was nothing bigger than 50.
Nothing bigger, and nobody since maybe like Snoop came out the gate like that. My first album didn't do it. I never saw someone's first album and the wave happen like he had. And then he doesn't get it. And then I get up there another year, and what was it, the Eminem show? And it was like, whatever. I'm fine if I lose to Kanye or someone that I'm like, okay, I respect that. I know who that is, and Kanye has a huge following and he's made a massive impact on music. Fine, I'm good with that. But don't get us all here to use your selling point for your show and stiff everybody every single time. And I said, after that point in time, I was like, don't ever ask me to here again. Please do not ask me. My answer is no for 100 million years. Never again will I go to the Grammy.
When someone asked if he'd come back if he had a say in the voting, M didn't hesitate. He said it wouldn't change a thing because in his eyes, the whole system is rigged from the jump, and votes, they barely matter.
But consider, joining a board and maybe you have a vote in it.
First of all, that vote is fake. That's not a real vote. That's not a real vote. They give it to who they want to give it to. They give it to their darlings. This got critical acclaim, but it sold 2 records. Like, it ain't about always what you sell. I get that. Vanilla Ice, I understand. You know what I'm saying? Like, but there comes a point where when an overwhelming something comes along that has this wave and impact on music, and you give it to Lada Dottie. Who? Lada Dottie. Sound like Lada Dottie.
50 Cent's not holding back either. He's calling out the Recording Academy and going even harder. He's not just saying the awards are rigged, he's flat out claiming that Jay-Z's Grammy wins are more about his marriage to Beyonce than his actual bars or beats. According to 50, the Academy knows what they're doing. As long as Jay and Bey show up, the ratings go through the roof.
Is when he started to receive the 16 Grammys since he's been with Beyonce. Right? And you go, prior to that, 1.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So that came in association, like you see that the kids even have Grammys. Like they don't sing yet. They don't sing.
Right.
They don't rap yet. And they already have Grammys. So it's like they give them this trophy so we secure that they're coming to the award show. It meant that much to the culture that they just gave them the things they would. Later, to me, I didn't care about the trophies. I said, I'll get the check.
So they keep tossing them nominations and trophies just to make sure they hit that red carpet. And 50 kept that same energy on the Flagrant podcast too. He doubled down on it all, saying Jay-Z's rise at the Grammys is more about power couple optics than musical talent. It's a wild claim.
Look, when Jay signed his contract, the big one was with Beyonce. When he signed that contract, the marriage contract, he got trophies. Now those fucking trophies, came rolling in, buddy. He started getting Grammys left and right, man. I mean, look, if you look at his career, he had one. Exactly. He had one. He didn't show up. He had like 20 now. He had like 18 since he's been down. Look, he had one, bro. Hard Knock Life. You're not wrong. At the same time, he's like drinking. It's the cop.
Wait a minute. So you're saying the success is derived from the marriage?
I've absolutely been treated differently.
The accolades. Because he's no longer viewed as like a street or gangster rapper. Now he's viewed as a businessman, entrepreneur, family man.
And the biggest ones because of the position Beyonce's.
Oh, wow.
You were connected to the biggest.
Jay got. Oh, wow. So that's the deal.
Yeah, that's the deal. Like, the other ones didn't count as much as that one did.
But he's not backing down. 50 Cent even took it a step further. He called Jay-Z and Beyonce's relationship a contract. That's right. He suggested they might be staying together not out of love, but to keep their public image locked in and their careers bulletproof. And he's far from the only one throwing shade at Jay for allegedly playing dirty to stay on top. Multiple insiders have come forward over the years saying both Jay and Beyoncé purposely held back the rise of other artists, just to make sure no one outshined them. One of the most chilling accusations came from Beyoncé's former bodyguard, Uncle Ron. Before his sudden death from pneumonia, he made serious claims, saying he had proof that the Carters sabotaged artists' careers and wrecked people's lives just to protect their own throne. His passing sparked even more questions, especially with the timing.
Beyonce and Jay-Z will do anything to destroy anyone who speaks out against them. Hey, I get the threats, but you have to remember one thing. I know your deepest secrets. I know so much about you and what you've done. I know so much on how you got where you are, how you stepped on many people. Beyonce, how you guys ended Keri Hilson's career because she said something about it.
And then there's Jaguar Wright, Jay-Z's former backup singer and by far his loudest critic. Jaguar's been out here spilling tea for years, accusing Jay of being tied to multiple mysterious deaths and career takedowns, including Harlem legend Big L. According to Jaguar, people close to Jay who posed a threat to his rise either vanished from the spotlight or were taken out completely.
The first time I ever saw Jay-Z or even heard him spit a rhyme was at an MC battle, street battle in New York. But he didn't show up as Jay-Z. He didn't show up as the hottest rapper on the street. He showed up as the that was with Big L.
Rest
For
in
those
peace.
of you,
Rest in peace, Big L.
rest in peace, Big L.
One of the
That was the
dopest.
sensei.
One of the dopest. Yes.
Big L was who put Jay-Z on.
Without question.
And then Big L died, and then the next thing you know, Jay-Z.
Let's pause on Big L for a sec. Back in the early 90s, Big L was killing it in Harlem's underground rap scene. His freestyles were legendary. He dropped a strong debut with Columbia Records and later started his own label. That's when he caught the attention of Dame Dash at Rockefeller. But just as his star was about to blow up, Big L was gunned down in a Harlem drive-by on February 15th, 1999. His murder is still unsolved to this day. But Jaguar Wright has made it crystal clear. She believes Jay-Z had something to do with it. She even taunted him publicly, saying, "See how good I keep secrets, Sean?"
Tell everybody about Big L, Sean.
Big L?
I would just rather do it on the stand, Sean. Please sue me. I want to go to court. And I want to talk about Big L on the stand.
Wow.
L was the one that put Jay-Z on. Jay-Z was the last person to see Big L alive. His death made it possible for Reasonable Doubt to live.
Whoa.
See how good I keep secrets, Sean?
And then there's DMX, one of the few who had the guts to stand up to Jay-Z directly. DMX didn't bite his tongue, calling Jay bitter and jealous. And when Jay-Z stepped into the role of Def Jam president in 2004, DMX had already dropped 5 straight #1 albums from 1998 to 2003. He was the face of the label. But after Jay took over, things changed real quick. When DMX was gearing up to drop his 6th album, Year of the Dog, again, he claimed Jay-Z purposely stalled the release to make space for his own big comeback. DMX wasn't having it.
Okay, I see what's really good. You're trying to eliminate the competition. You know, because at first you retire, you know, then get me off the label, now you're back rapping again. Okay.
He straight up said Jay tried to block his shine, but that was just the tip of the iceberg. In 2005, DMX dropped a track called The Industry, where he spilled major truth about the dark side of the music biz. And guess what? A lot of that shady stuff he rapped about is still happening today.
The game is bullshit, man. The game is bullshit. If you want to rap or sing or whatever, don't become a part of the game. You know what? Listen to a song I called The Industry. And that pretty much explains, you know what I'm saying, what it's about. The industry. Man, it's not the same. The industry, it's not a game. The industry, real is dying to get in the industry just to find they don't fit in. The industry ain't what it used to be. The industry's trying to control the way you MC. They want you to dress like this and talk like that, but I'm going dress like this and talk with the gap. The industry.
Even the late Irv Gotti once said Jay was jealous of DMX and admitted that Jay and his mentor, Liar Cohen, used to laugh at X behind his back, thinking he'd never blow up.
First meeting I ever had, I was like, we gotta sign DMX, and they laughed at me. I remember when I left the office, Tina Davis said, she knew I wanted to sign DMX. She said, DMX don't sell, your ass is fired. Jay and Dame did not believe in DMX. Jay would be like, you think he's better than me? And I'd be like, he's nice just like you. I said, if you look in the hood, there's less of like you and more like him. Yeah, but he don't want to live that. He's depressing, Gotti. And I said, I don't give a. So Jay used to watch me grind with X, and he was off with the Hitman. And then something strange happened when I made Get At Me Dog. If you remember at the beginning of the videos, the heart was DMX, live at the tunnel. Y'all don't even remember the tunnel. Funk Master was and then I put that sound bite. Let's take it back to the streets, mother. The videos flashing, f***ing up your eyes. It caused change. And now, there's no more shiny suits. We back to the hood, and X is the leader of this revolution. I used to put on the wall a triangle with 5.
But DMX proved them wrong in a big way, and DMX wasn't the only one who felt like Jay was moving foul behind the scenes. Beanie Siegel spoke out too. He claimed something fishy was always happening, like Jay dropping his albums at the exact same time as Beanie's. Beanie believed it wasn't a coincidence. He said Jay made sure his records would only get so far in sales. Sure, Beanie owned up to his own mistakes, especially the legal troubles, but he also made it crystal clear he believed Jay was intentionally holding him back.
It could destroy, you know what I mean? Like, it's ultimately in your own decisions. You know, I had a lot of issues. Like I said, legal issues at the time. And, you know, my mind wasn't where I'm at now today. Like, I used to have questions like why every time my album dropped, Jay would drop right on top of me. He wouldn't let me breathe or right before me. Like, I was always close. And I never understood that every single album that I dropped, Jay dropped right on top of me. And it was like, damn, like to have in-house competition at that magnitude was crazy. Jay already the boss, but I always thought that, like, let me breathe. But
now let's bring Beyonce into this mix, because she's not just sitting on the sidelines. While some fans think she's just going along with Jay's moves, let's be real. Nobody sticks around for years unless they're in on the game too. Word is, both of them know how to shut down anyone they see as a threat. Take what happened when Beyonce left Destiny's Child and started linking up with Jay-Z. Around that time, Jay allegedly snatched up producer Rich Harrison right after he helped singer Amerie blow up with One Thing. That track was a whole moment. And rumor has it Beyonce used that same vibe for Crazy in Love.
Where you been, Amerie?
I've been out in the universe somewhere.
No, I've been. Talk about your career. Everybody always says Amerie should have been a superstar. Because she's pretty, she can dance, she can sing. What happened? What do you think?
Know what it is? It's timing. Like, everything is timing. Like, I'm a big believer in time.
And just like that, Amerie disappeared from the spotlight while Beyonce soared. Coincidence? Fans are starting to think not. And then there's Keri Hilson, who got dragged into one of the wildest celeb fallouts in recent memory. It all started when her producers reportedly set her up by tricking her into recording a diss track aimed at Beyonce. The goal? Get her canceled. Keri denied it was ever meant to be a diss, but the damage was already done. Things got even messier when she refused to hold a magazine with Jay-Z and Beyoncé on the cover. Someone asked her, "You want to hold the magazine?" And she said no. That one moment lit a firestorm. The backlash was brutal. Beyonce's fan base came for Keri hard. Some reports even say she was harassed on the streets. But behind the scenes, rumors started bubbling that Beyonce might have been pulling strings the whole time. Sources claimed she had people in Keri's own camp convince her to record the track, setting her up to take the fall, while Bey played the innocent role in public.
It's the price you pay, when you're early in your career, you feel that you have to listen. And when you buck, they buck harder, and they make threats, and those threats are huge ones. And you know what I mean? You don't feel like you have a choice. I really didn't feel like I had a choice. It was do this or this.
Keri later gave a 2020 interview where she hinted at the truth, saying she felt pressured to release the song and revealed she received serious threats afterward. That's when fans started questioning just how much of this was really a setup. And don't think Beyonce's drama stops there, because Kellis has her own story too. Kellis called Beyonce out after finding out through social media that her hit song Milkshake had been sampled on Bey's album. Without permission and without credit, Kellis said she was completely mind blown by the disrespect. She wrote, "Way, I heard about this the same way everyone else did." And then added, "Nothing is ever as it seems. Some of the people in this business have no soul or integrity, and they have everyone fooled." That wasn't just a side eye, that was a full-blown call out. Kellis later hopped on Instagram to break it all down. She explained why she felt so betrayed, saying, "Not only are we Black female artists in an industry where there's not that many of us, we've met each other, we know each other, we have mutual friends." She said it plain, it wasn't that hard to reach out. It was just about basic decency. But instead of owning up or even saying a word, Beyonce just quietly yanked the Milkshake sample off her track. No apology, no explanation, nothing. That silence only made things look worse. And then there's Maya, who's also believed to have been blackballed, allegedly after turning down Jay-Z's advances. Maya didn't drop names, but she's spoken out before about how folks in power often use it to manipulate and control, especially when it comes to young artists trying to chase their dreams. She said the industry can be flat out dangerous when you don't realize what you're giving up just to get ahead. When she was asked how she stayed clear of that toxic energy, Maya said she simply said no and walked away. But she also hinted that saying no to certain powerful people came with a price. Her name got dragged and her career cooled down fast. So when you connect the dots, Keri, Kellis, Maya, and others, it's not just one or two cases. There's a long list of artists who believe Jay-Z and Beyoncé played a role in blocking their shine to keep the spotlight all to themselves. And just when you think the list stops, guess what? There's more. Multiple insiders have whispered for years that Jay-Z and Beyoncé don't just play the fame game, they run it like a chessboard, and they'll move people off it real quick if they pose any kind of threat. Let's talk about Tinashe for a second. She was once labeled the next big thing. Major label deals, collabs, the whole package, but out of nowhere, her momentum vanished. Fans online started speculating that she was iced out after being compared to Beyoncé one too many times. Whether true or not, it's strange how quickly her industry support dried up. And don't forget about LaToya Luckett and Latavia Robertson, the original Destiny's Child members who were suddenly booted from the group without warning. The official story was creative differences, but many believe they were simply pushed out when Beyoncé's parents and team decided she needed full control of the spotlight. Both women tried to speak out, but their careers never really recovered. Even Tiffany Evans, a rising R&B star from the early 2000s, once hinted in a cryptic post that the industry protects certain people while burying others. She never named names, but the timing and her sudden disappearance from the charts had people putting two and two together. At this point, people are starting to wonder how many artists have been sacrificed just to keep the Carters untouchable. It's not just about fame anymore. It's about power, real power. The kind that controls labels, media narratives, and award shows. And while some folks still defend them, others are waking up and realizing that the power couple image might be more of a brand than a love story. Behind the private jets and million-dollar smiles, there could be a trail of broken careers and silenced voices. And if 50 Cent and Eminem are really pulling the curtain back, how much longer can the truth stay buried? And believe it or not, this wasn't even the full list. There are still so many stories out there, whispered in studio hallways and buried in interviews that barely saw the light of day. But what do you think about all these wild claims from people like 50 Cent and Eminem? Is there some truth behind the smoke, or is it all just industry drama and jealousy? Do you believe Jay-Z and Beyoncé really had a hand in blocking other artists from rising up? And are there more names, maybe ones we haven't even mentioned yet, who got blackballed for being a little too talented or speaking out at the wrong time? Let's keep the convo going. Drop your thoughts down in the comments. And don't forget, if you're into this kind of deep dive and want to hear the stories the mainstream media won't tell, make sure you hit that like, share, and subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. More heat's on the way, and you won't want to miss what we've got coming next. See you in the next one.